Hello and welcome to Quick Tips 15, and this particular Quick Tips, as with most of the rest, was developed in TradeStation 9.5. And what I'm going to talk about a little bit is just using the date and the time words in a program, particularly in a print statement. You can see here we've got a very typical print statement. We're putting the date using D. You could have also written date and the time, and then I'm just including the close. I have this applied to a 77-second chart. You'll see here the results we're getting. We're getting this strange number beginning with 11712 representing December, and then 13. Then we've got the time and the close. Now, a couple of problems with this. First of all, this is a sort of somewhat strange date format, and what it's doing is counting the number of years since 1900. And then the other issue is, if we look at the bars a little more closely, we'll see that the times actually are in seconds, and in this time statement here we don't see any seconds whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is just show you how we get around this, and we can do it in quite a sophisticated way. And the way that we do it is we use the bar date time, and then we use dot format, and then we've got a lot of different options, and I'll just show you what this produces, this particular syntax, and then we'll look at how you can do that. And you'll see here what it's doing is putting the date in a completely different format. It's putting the day, the month, the day of the month, and then the year in a 4-figure format. And you'll also notice it's including a comma. So let's just look at the syntax. And the way we can do that, if you just need to remember bar date time, if you right click that and say definition, and that will tell you a little more about bar date time. But what you'll see here is that it also refers to the date time class. So we're going to click that, and even more information. But what we're particularly interested in is format codes. So if you click that, you'll see the format codes, and these are all the codes, or rather these are the codes that you can use. So for example, in our example, I've included %A, and that's an abbreviated weekday name, and so on. So just going back to the code, you'll see that this particular format produces something looking a little bit like this. Now, the way this thing works is, if something within this format brackets statement in quotes has a percentage sign in front of it, it's taken to be one of the codes on the page that we've just looked at. If not, it's just included in the string literally, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. So let's look at my next example. Here it is, and you can see that what we've included now is %H, %M, and %S, and what that's going to basically give us is an hour in 24-hour clock, the minute, and the number of seconds. So if we just go back to the chart, you'll see there we have the 15, 15:01, etc. So we're actually getting the second value of the bar as well. Okay, so let's look at my third example. And this, on first glance, looks very similar to the previous example, but what I just wanted to demonstrate is the ability to add other characters into the mix here without changing the value, or rather at least the hour, minute, second value. So what I've done here is added a H for hour in a European type format. So what we're going to see is something like 11H minute 25. And let's just go to the chart and look at that. And there you'll see it's very similar to the previous one, but now we have an H. Okay, so let's look at my next example. So in this one, what I've done is combined the first two effectively. And so we can see that we've got the time and we've got the date. And effectively, you can just move these values around. You can put anything anywhere. You could have second, minute, hour if you wish to. So let's just look at this on the chart. And you'll see now that we've got the time followed by the date in this specific format. Now, you may wish to express the time using AM and PM rather than the 24-hour clock, and the way that we do that is we use here I instead of H, and then we can put the %P, and that's going to tell us whether it's AM or PM. So let's just go and look at the chart. And again, in the print statement, you can see that now instead of 1518, it's 318 PM, which is absolutely correct. But what if you wanted to express the time as AM or PM, but you wanted that AM to be in lowercase? Well, you can do that using, again, similar syntax as before, bar date time format, then the I, the M, and the S, not including the P. Then what I've done is comma and then another string. And so I've done bar date time format, then just the %P on its own. But what I've done is I've surrounded that with brackets to do lower str, lower string. And then if we go to the chart, we'll see that it's exactly the same as the previous one, except now instead of PM, capital P, capital M, it's PM, small p, small m. Okay, so just one final example. And that is, what if we wanted to change this, have a format very similar to this, but just making sure that the date, or rather the year, is included in a more easy to read, easy to understand way, and also we have the seconds. Well, I've done an example of that. So I've included it underneath where we did the first example. And you'll see instead of using D, we use bar date time format, and then we put in this syntax, the year, the month, the day, and then I've just added 0.00 just so it matches the same format. And then for the time, we've used very similar to some of the other ones we've done here. We've used the hour, the minute, then I put in a period just to separate it, and I put the number of seconds, and then the close remains the same. And if you verify this and then go to the chart, you'll see that the format is very, very similar to the one we had before, except for the key differences that we've now got the year appearing as 2017 as we customarily display it, and the time as same time, but we've now got the seconds included after it. So anyway, what I'm going to do is include the program in this quick tip so that you can copy and paste. Unfortunately, this is not relevant to multi-charts. And just to remind you one more time, just in case you want to remind us how to do this syntax, you don't need to remember all these codes. Simply click bar date time, definition of bar date time, find where it says date time class, click on that, and then go down until you see format codes, and then click format codes. And you'll see several examples, but then you'll also see the codes down here. Okay, I hope you find this useful.